Hello, everyone.
Oh my god.
Let me text everybody in the house. Christ, just
Oh my god.
The roof of a market in Thailand was suddenly ripped away by powerful storm winds and crashed down right next to a little girl in a horrifying moment. The way these dust tornadoes suddenly appeared and sent debris flying made the whole scene look like something straight out of a disaster movie. You can see the pure fear on his face as the earthquake hits and everything around him suddenly starts falling apart. This could have ended in disaster after a truck hit a downed power line and sparks flew everywhere. But luckily, everyone walked away safely. The people inside this Canada electronics store had almost no time to react before a car came crashing through the storefront in a shocking moment. Workers and customers scrambled to escape after a wild buffalo unexpectedly rushed into a bakery shop in Ganja, Azerbaijan, creating a frightening and chaotic scene. The massive mooring rope suddenly snapped while the giant ship was docking, creating a dangerous shockwave right next to the workers on the pier.
A tomar por culo, chaval. Joder.
Oh my god.
People gathered along the riverbank in India were left completely amazed after witnessing a massive tidal wave suddenly rise and crash through the river.
अभी नहीं गिर हाँ गिर ले रे कितने गिरते
The combination of strong water erosion and unstable sandy ground caused the riverbank to break apart and crash into the water.
हाँ गिरे तो देखो पानी आई समुद्र
The rider entered the road without paying attention to surrounding traffic, forcing another vehicle to dangerously change direction. The wheel came crashing in with unbelievable force, but the man's timing was incredibly lucky because he had already stepped away. Tons of loose soil and rocks suddenly rushed down the slope, turning this quiet road into a dangerous landslide zone instantly. It was an incredibly close call as the train arrived moments after brave people managed to pull the woman away from the tracks. A motorbike rider narrowly escaped disaster after a barge slammed directly into the passenger ferry, creating a terrifying scene that left everyone shaken. The entire hillside appeared to collapse at once, creating a massive wave of dust and debris that shocked everyone nearby. The powerful hailstorm covered the entire neighborhood in white within minutes, making the streets look almost like they were buried in snow. A building collapse during a demolition operation near a school in Turkey caused panic and fear as students ran away from the massive cloud of dust. The force of the truck tire explosion looked powerful enough to tear off part of the red car instantly. A normal quiet street suddenly turned chaotic after the car slammed into the trash bins at high speed. A powerful flash flood carried huge amounts of tree branches and debris downstream, leaving everyone watching completely shocked.
Cara, se fudeu agora, hein? Olha lá, foi com medo, ó.
The violent shaking from the earthquake caused shelves and products to collapse everywhere, creating a terrifying scene inside the shop. The weather changed instantly as a violent storm rushed in and turned the entire area into chaos within moments. The driver looked like they were playing real-life bumper cars instead of actually trying to drive normally.
Toca meterte en cuanto...
Watching how close the vehicle came to him makes his escape look unbelievably lucky. A powerful storm swept through Octopark Village in Russia, knocking down dozens of trees and leaving a trail of destruction everywhere. Driving through a massive sandstorm like this feels like entering a world where the entire road suddenly disappears into dust.
Go.
This dust whirlwind suddenly formed out of nowhere and started spinning through the area like a mini tornado. The size and power of this tornado are unbelievable, turning the sky into a dark, spinning nightmare. This carefully planned, controlled demolition turned the massive South Bay power plant into rubble in an unforgettable moment.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Rain-soaked roads and speeding are never a good combination, especially when drivers suddenly lose traction like this.
Uy, uy, uy.
The oversized truck hit the low-hanging power lines, creating a dangerous situation in the middle of the intersection. Seeing this many snakes tangled together in one place is both fascinating and absolutely terrifying at the same time. The water became completely crowded with fish, creating one of the wildest nature moments imaginable. Several tourists relaxing at crowded stalls in Indonesia suddenly became victims after a drunk driver lost control and drove straight into the area. The driver of this white pickup truck dangerously drifted across the road, creating a huge dust cloud and threatening everyone nearby.
The City Lord's Manor, distant upon a hill above the town. Every time Cal saw it, he felt like he...
Ôi, bay một lên, lon, nó thoải đi. Ôi, gì đưa nó tay đấy. Bay một lên.
People in Thailand were left in shock after the ground suddenly gave way at a subway tunnel construction zone, forming a giant sinkhole over 50 meters deep. Days of relentless rain completely saturated the soil in Peru, weakening the ground until gravity finally triggered this terrifying landslide right before people's eyes.
Colapsó, señores. Colapsó. Señores, es un enorme derrumbo.
A powerful earthquake shook the ground so violently that people could barely stay on their feet and were forced to drop to the ground for safety. A large section of Terra Preta port in Brazil collapsed after a massive landslide in the city of Manacapuru swept away entire homes into the river. The extreme hailstorm became so intense that the vehicle's windshield could no longer withstand the impact from the falling ice. The road is always full of unexpected dangers, and sometimes the biggest threat comes from behind you. Tons of rock and debris suddenly came crashing down onto National Highway 5 in Himachal Pradesh, bringing traffic to a complete standstill for hours. Panic broke out at the Santa Teresa hot springs in El Salvador after one of the thermal vents suddenly exploded, sending hot gas and debris flying as people ran desperately for cover.
Explosion ripped through a thermal spring site in El
A huge wave suddenly slammed into Praia do Forte beach in Cabo Frio, Brazil, leaving tourists shocked and unable to react in time. In just seconds, The peaceful neighborhood was completely transformed as powerful winds and heavy rain suddenly swept through the area. Sudden swerving from the container truck nearly caused a serious accident, but quick reflexes helped avoid a dangerous collision on the road. Terrifying scenes unfolded in Altamira, Parauapebas, Brazil, after what appeared to be an electrical explosion sent massive sparks flying across the street at night. Powerful waves and strong winds slammed into the Playa del Carmen Cozumel ferry near Cancun, Mexico, as the passenger-filled vessel struggled to stay stable at the dock. Filmed along the river in New York City, this terrifying storm forced the cyclist to take shelter behind a tree to avoid being hit by dangerous flying debris.
Woo! We are fine. Right now by this tree. We're going to stay right here.
Tourists gathered at the famous Perito Moreno Glacier in Argentina to witness the incredible calving phenomenon as massive chunks of ice broke away and crashed into the water. Kawah Ijen in Indonesia is famous for its rare blue fire phenomenon, where sulfur gas ignites and produces glowing blue flames instead of normal orange fire. The SUV passed through at the perfect moment, because seconds later, the entire tree came crashing down across the road behind it.
Ты видел?
Нет.
Видел?
Я не видел. Какая ты умница, молодец.
Visibility dropped to almost zero as this terrifying dust storm engulfed everything in its path, forcing people to run for safety. A rare tornado with winds reaching 170 kilometers per hour tore through Karanja, Mayurbhanj, Odisha, India, creating terrifying scenes as debris flew everywhere. Panic erupted on the beach as enormous waves generated by the Ecuador earthquake suddenly rushed ashore with terrifying force in Brazil. Powerful downburst winds slammed into Villa del Rosario, Argentina, creating near-zero visibility as dust and debris filled the air. Violent winds roared through Valencia, Spain, as the storm intensified and formed a tornado powerful enough to scatter debris everywhere.
Dios mío! ¡Eso, señor! ¡Cuidado!
The storm intensified within seconds in China, unleashing destructive winds strong enough to tear objects loose and hurl them through the air. The wild elephant came charging without warning, but the man's quick turnaround helped him escape just in time. Violent winds and blinding rain turned this scene into pure chaos as trees bent dangerously under the force of the storm. The strong winds completely tore apart the roof and sent debris flying onto the street, but fortunately, everyone nearby escaped safely. Seconds after taking off from a medical rescue operation, this Brazilian police helicopter encountered rotor trouble and had to make a quick emergency landing in Belo Horizonte.
Levantou os telhados tudo! Nossa, caiu o avião! O avião caiu! O avião caiu!
Vehicles rapidly fled the mining area before the terrifying landslide worsened and completely overwhelmed the road with debris and dust. Imagine relaxing at home and suddenly two buffaloes sprint through the living room like it's part of their daily routine. A violent storm suddenly swept through Italy, tearing apart outdoor furniture and sending powerful winds ripping across the area. The rough sea conditions turned this cargo ship into a terrifying scene as powerful waves tossed the vessel from side to side. Nature put on a wild display as this spinning dust vortex rapidly grew across the field under the intense heat and wind. While climbing the narrow slope, the SUV lost control and slammed into the crowd sitting by the roadside, yet thankfully, everyone survived safely. These strange glowing lights behind the clouds look almost like a portal opening in the sky, creating a truly mysterious scene. This wasn't scripted, and it definitely wasn't AI. The YouTuber was actually robbed while filming in real time. This surreal moment looks almost unreal, as if the car is driving straight into the end of the rainbow.
Oh, look! Thousands of them. Bloody hell.
The entire valley in Pakistan disappeared under massive clouds of dust as a huge landslide thundered down the mountainside. Quick steering from the truck driver helped avoid a serious collision with the vehicle coming from behind. A terrifying tornado ripped through a Florida backyard just before Hurricane Helene hit the area. The slippery road surface combined with the sharp turn created a terrifying accident scene within seconds. Just seconds made the difference here, and his quick escape prevented a potentially tragic outcome. Chaos erupted in Soweto, Portugal, after one of the bulls escaped from the traditional running event and began charging toward villagers. Powerful winds suddenly tore through this outdoor restaurant area in China, ripping apart large tents and sending debris flying everywhere. A powerful 8.1 magnitude earthquake struck Mexico City's historic center, sending shockwaves through this office and causing major destruction. Powerful winds on Lake Superior are pushing massive slabs of ice onto the shoreline, creating a surreal scene in Minnesota. Heavy winds and severe weather conditions created chaos in Uruguay as rooftops collapsed and debris scattered everywhere during the storm. A powerful flash flood swept through Kadir district in Daikandi province, Afghanistan, turning the valley into a raging river of mud and debris.
Bouncing!
A powerful 7.9 magnitude earthquake struck a nail accessory shop in Mandalay, Myanmar, sending people into complete panic. A powerful tornado tore through Mineral Wells, Texas, with estimated winds reaching up to 130 miles per hour. Massive sea foam flooded coastal homes, creating an unbelievable scene as thick white foam covered entire neighborhoods. A dramatic lightning storm lit up the skies over Doha, Qatar, where storms like this are highly unusual. The smaller boat was quickly overwhelmed during the collision as the force from the larger vessel pushed it dangerously into the water. Engineers used 600 kilograms of explosives to safely demolish the towering chimney and industrial structures at the old power station in Germany. Prolonged heavy rainfall caused floodwaters from upstream to surge rapidly through Indonesia, cutting off multiple areas and triggering severe flooding.
Tsunami election.
The motorbike rider's quick reaction allowed him to escape just in time.
Oh my God!
Massive waves have turned Durban North Beach into a chaotic scene as seawater surges toward buildings along the coast. This dramatic moment may look real, but the lightning and flying fish were created using advanced AI effects. Terrifying weather conditions in Phuket, Thailand turned the entire area into chaos as strong winds violently shook everything in sight. This terrifying avalanche in Lahore and Spiti, India sent enormous amounts of snow crashing down with unstoppable force. The entire mountainside suddenly began collapsing piece by piece, unleashing a massive wave of rocks and mud that thundered down the slope with terrifying force. The ground gave way without warning, sending a massive flow of mud, rocks, and trees onto the road and cutting off access through the area. This incredible dolphin encounter turned an ordinary boat trip into a breathtaking once-in-a-lifetime experience. A gigantic wall of dust moved through Egypt so powerfully that buildings, roads, and the sky nearly disappeared behind the terrifying sandstorm. This terrifying sandstorm transformed the entire city into a scene that looked straight out of a disaster movie as huge clouds of dust filled the air. A giant dust column formed under intense heat and dry conditions, creating scenes that looked almost unreal. The force of the waves was strong enough to break through the surface ice, creating a dramatic scene of cracking and shifting frozen sheets. Huge hailstones pounded the streets of Paris as this intense storm transformed the city into a scene straight out of a disaster movie. Heavy rain and extreme winds turned this Texas neighborhood into chaos as the storm ripped through homes and caused serious flooding. Thanks for watching till the end. Hit subscribe so you're always the first to catch new videos. See you in the next one.